Hey, Marianne DeNovellis here, six-figure mastermind. Now it's time to discuss the nitty-gritties on how to take responsibility for what's showing up in your world. Okay, so I love this discussion on how to take responsibility for your actions. And if you type that in the search bar and you look this up, you're probably a really responsible person, because anyone that's not taking responsibility wouldn't even care. So kudos, that's awesome. So let's get started. How do we take responsibility for our life, for our actions? What's ours and what's not ours? So let's start with this. I call it the daily inventory. Daily inventory happens at the end of the day, and you can do this on a weekly basis. You can do this on a monthly basis. First of all, just start out with a lifetime, and don't get overwhelmed. It's not going to take a lifetime to do. Just take a scan back and scan over your life, even your lifestyle today or your life in the past, and take inventory. Ask yourself, what's really working super well in my life and what's really working not well at all? For example, if you're a soccer player and you have practice twice a week and you're really loving the health benefits that brings you, you can say, okay, doing soccer, that really works super well for me in my life. That's working for me. I like that. And while I'm taking inventory is a neutral experience. Neutral experience, which means you don't get to attach any emotion to what comes up in your inventory. So if you're taking inventory and saying, ooh, I kind of am noticing that I fight with my spouse a lot, like that comes up quite frequently. That's not working for me. In your inventory list, keep two columns: things that are working for me, things that are not working for me. So fighting with my spouse a lot, that's really not working for me. I'm going to put it in that column. Let's take some more inventory. My eating habits. How are those working for me? Am I eating out at the fast food chains with, I'm not sure if they really serve real food or not, or am I eating a Whole Foods plant-based diet? What's working for me? I'm just going to say, what's going on? Does it go in this column or in this column? Is it working for me or is it not working for me? And just take inventory and make a list and take a look at everything in this column that's working for you and take responsibility for that. And a lot of times when people say take responsibility for what's going on in your life, they say it in the spirit of, you're responsible and you need to change and you need to fix and blah, blah, blah. We're not going to take that approach today. We're just going to say I'm taking responsibility for everything that I'm experiencing, everything that's going on in my world, everything that I'm experiencing is partially my responsibility. It is my responsibility. Okay. And keeping in mind that I can't control other people and I can't always control circumstances. I control my reactions to all of that. So to make a list of all that things in your world that are working for you and take responsibility for that. In our culture, especially in America, and even if you travel over to France, they're really good at this. They're really good at poo-pooing on compliments. In fact, in the French culture, it's really considered rude if someone pays you a compliment if you accept it on the first go. If we say, oh, your hair looks really great today, and you say, oh, thank you, that's considered rude. What they consider as polite is, oh, no, that's not, this is just a mess that I woke up and I rolled over and I didn't even take care of it at all. It's socially acceptable and normal to put down compliments, and it happens in the U.S. all the time. We put down compliments. I don't even know how to do that well now. All of these things that we'd say to put down the compliments that people give us. It's time to stop doing that. It's time to say, oh, I noticed that too. I really like that about myself. Or thank you so much. Or, hey, I appreciate that. Thank you. I like this about you too. Learn to receive compliments. Learn to take accountability for what is working in your life. Maybe you've got a really amazing body that's serving you really well and it's fit and it's healthy and it's healing and it's doing all these amazing things. You're walking and you're feeling life and you're feeling the air in your lungs. All those very simple things. Take responsibility for that. Say, I created my ability to go kayaking. I created my ability to go rock climbing. I created my massive lung capacity. Take responsibility for all of that list that you created that's working for you. Again, we're not here to take responsibility for just the negative things. We're here to take responsibility for everything that we're experiencing. So now let's shift over to the other side of the list. And remember, I don't have a huge emotional attachment to it. I'm just saying I'm taking responsibility, that I'm owning that's in my world. I'm owning if a fit, healthy body is in my world, I'm owning that I created that. Cool, I'm going to celebrate that. On the other side, if maybe you don't have a fit, healthy body and your body's showing up on more of the list of things that's not working for you, let's take responsibility for that too. Let's say that you would like to run a mile, but you don't feel like you can, either because you feel like you're too slow, or you feel like your lungs aren't up to it, your muscles aren't up to it, maybe it's been a long time. If you can't run a mile and you'd like to, that's within your responsibility as well. Responsibility means I know that I created this. I know this is part of my world for a specific reason. There's something in me that invited this into my life. Even when it comes to relationships, even when there's another person involved. Let's say in your inventory, when there's a list of things that you don't like or that you don't want, that your relationship with either your spouse or your kids or some other person is on the list of things that's not really working for you. Now, can you control your spouse? No. So please don't try. Please don't try to control your spouse. I promise you it will not end well. Speaking from personal experience right here, it did not go well. I'm taking responsibility that my relationship is not the ideal relationship that I want. And by taking responsibility, I'm simply saying that I played a part in that. I played a part. And if that's true, that means I also get to play a part in fixing it. When I work in Limitless, we do a lot of what's called belief breakthrough. Belief breakthrough is simply the process of asking, what is the thought process? What's going on in my mind that's not working? And what can I do to shift it to something that is working? So that's called the breakthrough. I'm going to take the idea that's not working and replace it with something that is working by the virtue of choice. Simple choice, easy peasy. That's all it takes. Now, choice can sometimes feel really hard if that's the belief system that you have signed up for. If you believe that choosing is easy for you and that change and shifting is easy for you, then that gets to be your reality. Total, straightforward, very simple, very cut and dry. All right? So when it comes to taking responsibility, we can simply say, I am responsible for what I'm experiencing in my world. If I'm having a relationship with my spouse that's not working for me, I created part of the relationship. I created part of what's not working. I also picked my spouse. So that's in my world because I chose it. And again, no judgment here. You can just get rid of the judgment. You can get rid of the self-judgment. You can get rid of the self-depreciation. Get rid of the self-blah that's showing up in your world that doesn't work for you. It's not going to help you take responsibility. There's a difference between that and feeling remorse and sorrow and wanting to change from that and wanting to make things better. But dwelling in it, it's just yucky. Don't even go there. Don't waste your time there. That's not why we're here. Taking responsibility looks like, oh, I totally get that. That's why that's in my world. And I helped create it. We have this idea that we created at some point in our world. And if we understand that everything that we are experiencing in our world is somehow related to us creating it, it becomes very, very easy to understand, wow, I helped create this. And if that's true, I can help create something different. That's all taking responsibility boils down to. I helped create it. So I'm going to help create something different. So let's talk about why it's so hard, why it can be so hard to take responsibility for our own experiences in our life. Okay? A lot of the times we will get stopped and stuck by this idea of pride and shame, which in my world are two sides of the exact same coin. Pride says I'm better than someone else, and shame says I'm worse than someone else. It's the same coin. The coin is called comparison. Comparison, you can just get rid of that right now. Neither side of the coin serves you, so just get rid of comparison altogether. Get rid of pride, get rid of shame, and just throw all of that out. You don't need comparison. There's no point in comparing because no one has lived your life the way you have. So how can you possibly compare yourself to someone else? And how could you possibly put pride in your world? And how could you possibly put shame in your world? It's all two sides of the same coin of comparison. And when you're comparing something that ought not to be compared. You can compare an apple to an apple. You've probably heard this analogy before. That's comparing apples to oranges. Here's what that really means. And just in case you were wondering, I can compare this red delicious apple to this red delicious apple and say, I like this one more than I like this one. Comparing apples to oranges It's taking out the apple and putting in an orange and saying, you are a better apple than you are. Well, duh, of course, this isn't an apple, it's an orange. And it's like saying, you, apple, are a better orange than this orange. How could that possibly be the case? It's not an orange, it's an apple. Don't make comparisons. It's like saying, hey, Becky, you are a better person than Samantha. How could you possibly say that? Because she's not Samantha. Neither is Samantha Becky. You can't make comparisons. So get rid of comparisons and get rid of pride and shame and get neutral on your responsibility. One of my favorite things to do that kind of drives some people nuts sometimes and that you may not think is terribly popular is playing the worst case scenario game. You know, this game of some people call it the devil's advocate, or you're playing devil's advocate. I don't call it that because I'll never advocate for the devil. I'll play the worst case scenario game. The worst case scenario game looks like this. What if? You know, I was in visiting my sister in a treatment center in Florida that handled a lot of people who had all these struggles and addictions and tough things going on in their world, really, really tough things in their world. And as I went there, I did go as a client and kind of some investigative self-exploration work. And as I went down and I was kind of poo-pooing on myself, I was saying, oh, it's all my fault. You know, I would talk about a relationship, for example. Oh, my relationship is all my fault. And I was in the self-depreciating and I was, you know, taking all the blame. And you know what that's like. You know what it's like when you're trying to sell that story to people. And some people will buy it and be like, oh, sweetie, it's not your fault. You know, he's just awful. And they'll buy your story and totally rally around you and in the name of support, but it's not helping you at all. It's not empowering you at all. I got another perspective here. My worker who was working with me, he said, Marianne, what if it was your fault? What if? What if it was? And that totally rubbed me the wrong way the first time. I'm like, oh, how could you say that? That's so awful. And then I thought about it. I'm like, what if it actually is? What if I can take the blame for this? What if I couldn't blame anyone else for my circumstances? What if I couldn't blame anyone else for my experiences? What if I couldn't blame anyone else for my results? What if it was true? You could think about that and say, oh, I'm just so awful and I stink. Or you could say, whoa, hang on. If this is true, that means I was that powerful to create whatever results. And if that's true, then I'm equally as powerful to manifest a life that I love, to bring results into my life that I do want, to get rid of the list entirely of the inventory of things that don't work for me in my world and put it all on the list of things that do work for me. Because I have this crazy belief, and I'm going to invite you to try this on too, that everything I experience in my world, I created and it serves me. Even if it comes in like really funky wrapping paper that doesn't look like it serves me, everything in my world is a gift. I'm going to invite you to try that on. Try that on. Try thinking that everything in your world is a product of your responsibility and you are in charge of how it shows up. Meaning that you get to decide what it means. Yes, other people have their agency. Yes, someone could come into your world and ransack your house and create all of this mess and havoc in your world. Yeah, they did that. How you react to it is your responsibility. That's how we take accountability in our lives. That's how we take and say, you know what? Something in my world created this. Maybe I left the door unlocked, or maybe I told the world that I was going to be out of town for a week and then didn't do anything to protect my home, you know? There's some way for us to be accountable, and there's always a lesson to learn. And when you can step into that really enlightened idea, that enlightened mindset of saying, you know what, I really can't blame everybody else, but I take full responsibility and I would take responsibility to up-level it, you become unstoppable. You become the person that says, nothing getting in my way, no excuse is too big, no consequence so earth-shattering that I can't overcome it. And you get to step up and say, this is my life, I totally own it. So I'm going to invite you to try that on. Try on this idea of being completely responsible. Get rid of pride, get rid of shame, get rid of all of those things that don't serve you, and totally go rock your life. Okay, that was awesome. You made it. Like, congratulations. You made it to the end of maybe one of the most scary videos on the internet, right? Hit the subscribe button. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.